half, 2 months after the what's that, Henry Ruggs. So I'm saying,
Yeah,
like,
man, this was a crazy year. Like you had the AB situation last week with the Bruce Arians the helmet slap situation. Then we had the Washington football catastrophe, Dallas they had them fighting and stuff. So it was kind of
hey,
crazy.
y'all Dallas fans is so sick. This niggas that nigga had that shit so smooth.
He did the catastrophe, man. All right, man, let's get into it, man.
All
Because y'all already getting some gems, man. Man, welcome back. Welcome back to 123 CABO. We're doing the Washington football team name to be determined coming up soon. It's your boy Zeke, man. I'm here with the fellas. Y'all go ahead and let the people know who you are.
Hey, it's Prince Hendricks, PG County, Maryland. Lifelong diehard Washington football team, Washington Redskins. Hopefully Washington Red Wolves fans. But like you said, to be determined what our name going to be. 2-2-22, we'll find out. Y'all ain't going to talk? Y'all scared?
Whether to go or not. Yeah,
Go
man.
ahead.
Boy, Derek Swish. Follow me on Instagram at Derek Swish. You can follow me on Twitter as well at Derek Swish. Good to be out here.
It's your boy Vaughn. You can follow me on Instagram at _Vaughn.G. Diehard Cowboy fan, man. Let's get into it.
Bet that, man. So we're talking about the Washington football team. Obviously, it's been previously mentioned. They finished the year 7-10, which I think was third in the NFC East. They had some lofty expectations this year, especially with the defense being elite last year. It took a turn for the worse. Let's just go from there. I guess Prince, starting with you, what do you think was the biggest issue on the struggles for Washington?
I think our biggest issue was probably high expectations for our defense. Last season we ended with the number 2 ranked overall defense coming into the season. I think people expected that defense to pick up where they left off. Seeing as how it would have been Chase Young second season. We needed help at linebacker. We went ahead and drafted a linebacker at, I think, pick 19 last year. So people expected for us to take that next step, and we did not. I'm gonna be real. Like I said, I've been a fan of my team for going on almost 3 decades now. So I like to say I kind of matured in my fandom. Like I used to be the fan that'd be like, every year we going. Every year we get this player, we going. Now, as a student of the game, I'm gonna be completely honest with you. My expectations, we performed about as high as I expected, because last year, yes, we won a division. Yes, we went to the playoffs, but we went to the playoffs. I want to say this year we finished with the same record that we went to the playoffs with last year. It wasn't a high record. We won like 7 games. So early on, when Chase got hurt, he tore his ACL. Like the COVID stuff that was going on and all the off the field issues, I already knew. First of all, when we rolled Taylor Heineke ass out there again this season, I already knew what to expect. Like I already knew what time it was. I didn't have high expectations for our season at all. But I felt like it was a win-win for the fans, because there were some people who, again, they haven't really matured in their fandom like I had. So and in Washington, which I'm sure you'll touch on this later, like we had this thing where we're just clinging on to any hope at all for a franchise quarterback. And so because of how he played last year, some people just thought that Taylor Heineke would be that guy. I knew better. But I knew we was also not when we didn't trade up to get Fields and stuff, I knew we run in a position to get a quarterback. So I'm like, a win-win would be go ahead and let them people who think Taylor's the guy, let him go ahead and essentially play himself out of that position, play himself out of that viewpoint. And in return, like if he is what I think he could be, we'll end up picking high in the draft, which we would have been picking even higher if we ain't had a thing where the last 2 years in a row, like Giants, like proved that we better than each other, and we went ahead and beat them in a meaningless game. We would have been picking at the top 10, but we picking at 11. We picking at 11, all because Taylor Heineke is not a good quarterback. But I'm gonna let you go ahead and segue into that portion and stuff like that. But my expectations were not high at all.
Nah, there's 2 things I don't like. I don't like Heineken and Beard, and I don't like Taylor Heineke at quarterback. Let's just talk about it right there. I think the Washington football team do have a chance to be a dangerous team, especially with the quarterbacks that are, have free agency coming up and want to be traded. They pick up a Deshaun Watson, they can end up being dangerous. You pick up a Derek Carr. I believe in Derek Carr. I really like him at quarterback, like a lot. And I think we was talking about this earlier. We was talking about the Cowboys, Russell Wilson. Washington Redskins get a Russell Wilson. I mean, the sky's the limit for this team, in my opinion. But another thing I think they need is a wide receiver. I feel like they get more weapons when they get that quarterback. They probably can be the number 2 team in our division.
Number 2, I feel like I'm gonna let you talk because you stepped out, but I gotta answer that. So first of all, I mean, everybody's saying that we need wide receiver, and I can see why they would say that, especially on the outside looking in if it's not your team. If we go get a wide receiver this offseason, I'm not mad. And there are some people in the fan base who feel like we should do that. But I think that, again, those are not necessarily fans of our team. So a lot of what we dealt with this year is we signed Curtis Samuel last year from the Panthers. He just been dealing with not an ACL. He's been dealing with a hamstring injury that just kept him, all of us are former athletes. The hamstring injuries can be tricky. Like they especially with a skill position player, like, what I'm saying, you might feel good that you get to go testing it on the field and you just not right. And then you go and you force it early on in the season. Next thing you know, you're getting shut down by mid or the end of the season because of the hamstring injury. So I think we have that talent there. But I would look at Curtis Samuel as kind of like a smaller but faster Debo in terms of like how I would use him. He's not a true number 1 receiver. He's just like the go do it all type person. But last year we also too drafted a receiver out of North Carolina. I want to say in the 3rd round by the name of De'Ami Brown. De'Ami Brown playing for the Carolina Tar Heels, who's known for basketball and not football. He actually was a very good receiver coming out of college, and his draft comparison was Terry. He just hasn't developed as quick as Terry, but to his benefit, I think Terry coming out as a wide receiver in the 3rd round, no one expected him to be what he was. They expected him to be like to at least start out on special teams. So when his draft come, when the Army draft comp was Terry, people expected him to come out and line up outside of Terry, and then we put Samuel in the slot, and we got this dangerous, lethal offense, but it just didn't happen like that because Samuel, who was the X factor, he got hurt. And De'Ami, he's a young wide receiver, and I would say that a lot of people in the league would say that wide receiver is like one of the hardest positions to develop at early on. Like unless you got somebody just throwing you, like, unless you know the route tree and all that stuff, especially if you come from a system where you run a limited route tree, it's hard to go from, because he was a stretch the field, take the top off of the defense type receiver. So now you to run the whole entire route tree, he got to develop that. But I still believe in De'Ami. I think by year 2, a lot of people, especially within our division, will know De'Ami Brown name for sure.
Yeah, y'all definitely got a lot of potential, man. Speaking on y'all offense, y'all really a scary team, man. Like a sleeper team. Like going on last year, y'all gave Tom Brady. Y'all gave him hell, man. You know what I'm saying? Tyler Heineke, he got a lot of dog in him. I know you don't really expect a lot out of him, but like I said, if y'all get that missing piece, man, y'all I like Ron Rivera. He a decent quarterback. I mean, a decent coach. A lot of discipline. I don't think y'all had too much off the field. Too many problems. So. I feel like y'all get that missing piece, man. Y'all be pretty decent.
Yeah, Ron is definitely. I think we bought Ron in, so I feel how I feel about Ron, but I understand why we bought him in. Like we bought Ron in because he's known to be a disciplinarian. He's known to be, he's old school, and he. I think Ron, a lot of Ron respect stems from he was a former player. Not only was he just a former player, like he was a former player at the highest level. Like he played on one of the greatest defenses of all time. So he played the position. He was a coordinator. He worked his way up. So people respect Ron for that. I think we brought Ron in terms of like just everything that we had going on off the field issues, all that stuff. We needed a disciplinarian. We also needed a figurehead that the rest of the league respected, because that's something that we've been lacking for a long time, just because of like how y'all talk about Jerry. Honestly, I feel like the least respected owner in all of football has to be like Dan Snyder. So we need somebody that, okay, like Dan's not going nowhere, but we could at least have a coach that people respect. That's wrong. But I also feel like Ron has a ceiling. So honestly, I'm gonna be real with you. Ron wasn't the coach that I wanted. I personally wanted Eric Bieniemy, but I feel like the plan of what it is, because Ron's going to go into year 3. I think the plan of how it might be, we all hope it pans out. We all hope he can have the success that he had with the Panthers. But we got to find that quarterback. But I think really what ultimately could happen is Ron's going to be the guy to make the organization respectable. As you see, like he has a lot of input in with the name, the uniforms, everything. He's going to be the guy to make us respectable. And then maybe later on down the line, we go and get somebody else who we might want. But right now, we couldn't afford to do a splash hire or do like a, you know what I'm saying, go get the shiny new toy, the Eric Bieniemy or the whoever we wanted to get, because we just dysfunctional. You couldn't afford to have a first-time head coach trying to maneuver all the stuff that came with that. So Ron was like the perfect, you know what I'm saying? Ron like the Rock. Like he the person that's going, he's stabilizing everything. He don't get the credit when things go good. He get a lot of blame when things go wrong. But that's his character. He a strong build. You know what I'm saying? He's a strong, firm individual, and he believe in doing things the right way. So that's what we needed. We needed, as far as going back to talking about culture, that's what we needed, somebody who knows how to build culture.
So what do you think is the top 3 needs for the Washington football team?
Man, you gotta let my man do his
No,
job.
it's solid. No, we roll with it. Keep going. Yeah.
All right, so our top 3 needs, first and foremost, you gotta start with quarterback. Hey, listen, I ain't about to say how old I am on this podcast, but I'll tell you right now, in my lifetime, I don't think we ever had a franchise quarterback. Like the closest thing we had was RG3, and I think because of where he is now, people look at him as like a bust. But I don't think none of that had to do with like a lack of talent. Like before he got hurt, he was lighting the lead up. You know what I'm saying? I think he had put the lead on notice. He run rookie of the year and all that stuff. But I don't think he did. Like his career was cut short with us due to injuries. So I can't really view him as the franchise quarterback. He was drafted to be that, but just how little of a time period he held that foot down, I can't call him that. Next would have been probably like Kurt. Kurt is, I don't even know my comparison for Kurt right now, but Kurt just wasn't a good fit for us. He was like he cared more about individual stats and padding his stats. Apparently he did a good enough job to go on to finesse the Vikings into that big contract, and now they seeing exactly what they got over there. They ready to look for another quarterback. Outside of that, I'll say our biggest need after quarterback would be, we need linebackers. We drafted Jamin Davis last year at pick 19. I'm not mad at the pick. One thing that I realized with my teams, we have like very impatient fan bases, and because you look right inside the division and you see a Michael Parsons who was having the success that he's having at linebacker, a lot of people are like, "Yo, why did we draft him?" Like, you know what I'm saying? Like Micah's having more success, but I guess that's a natural fan of a team thing, especially when y'all like so close in division and y'all like our rivals. But I think Jamin has all the tools. He was just he was a late developer. And I think eventually like his comparison coming out the league, as me and Swish are very familiar with because he went to alma mater, but his comparison like coming into the league is Darius Leonard. I don't think anybody on this panel would be mad at having a Darius Leonard on their team right now. So it's just he has to grow into that. He's a young player, and he was a freakish athlete in college. So going again with most young athletes coming out of college, where a lot of times he was the best player on the field, he was able to rely on his athletic ability. In the NFL, when you're dealing with everybody's good, everybody is they're not all 5 stars, but like the talent, they're not all former 5 stars, but the talent level, it's like everybody out there is a 5-star, which was proven by Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer with the Jags, he said it's like playing Bama every week. The talent level is everybody is good. So sometimes people just got to develop, they got to grow. But right now, I would still say that linebacker position is a position of need. Also, till we drafted Jamin, we thought he was going to be a middle linebacker. It turned out his athletic ability is better suited at outside. So once we put him outside, he started to flourish more. We were just being stubborn. It's like we drafted him to play this position, and we're gonna basically like keep forcing him to try to play this position until he shows that he can't. Even though multiple times he showed that he couldn't. So eventually, we moved him outside. He started to flourish. We even got to a point where we had to bump Landon down from safety, even though he continues to say that he is a safety. We bumped him down he still plays safety, but we put him in a box more into like a linebacker role, a hybrid linebacker role. And then we started to have more success, but then he got hurt. So I think linebacker is like our second biggest need, because I also think Landon might not be there next year because we paid him a ridiculously high contract for his position, and he's not playing that position, and he also doesn't really want to play the position that he's playing now. So I think he'll end up being a cap casualty where we'll end up saving a lot of money between losing him and letting him go and losing Sheriff. And mentioning Sheriff, I think that segues to my third need. I think our offensive line actually performed well compared to what we thought it would be, but it's not exactly where you would want it in terms of we're probably about to lose Sheriff, but Sheriff for a while has been dealing with injury issues or just little stuff that kept him off the field. So around our fan base or our community, a lot of us are not looking at Sheriff as a big loss. Talent-wise, when he's on the field, yes, but the thing is, he never was available for us. So it's like any decent, guard will be able to fill that gap. And then we signed it was two tackles that we had. Leno was the tackle that we signed two last offseason. Leno was the one that we extended to, I think, play left tackle. He showed us enough. But I think we could just add some more at the guard positions. On the other side, now that we bought in Leno, we re-signed him. Last year, we drafted Samuel Cosme, I think, in the second round. He had his problems with I think, pass protection, but he ended up being, I think he rated as the highest tackle, the highest rookie tackle this year. So he'll be good. It's just that it all depends on what direction we're gonna go at quarterback in terms of how I feel about our line. Like, I think we solid. I think we stable. But yeah, quarterback. So just recapping my list, quarterback is far above everything else our number one need, because we haven't had that in pretty much my lifetime. Then linebacker, and specifically middle linebacker, because that's the quarterback of the defense, someone that line up the whole defense. And then after that, just shoring up the offensive line. I think somebody mentioned when we were talking about the Cowboys episode about the talent is there, but if you could upgrade positions, why not do that? That's kind of how I feel about our line. Like, we're pretty solid and maybe average across the board, but if you can upgrade the positions, especially with us going into a new era, I would definitely do that. But those are my top three needs: quarterback, linebacker, and offensive line.
That's a really good point. To move on into some of the upcoming free agents that you guys have. You mentioned Brandon Sheriff, been a pretty good guard in the league for a while, but like you said, has had some injury issues. Ryan Fitzpatrick, who really didn't even play this year, who you guys expected to be the quarterback this year, but he was at the Buffalo game shirtless cheering on the Buffalo Bills. Then you got J.D. McKissick, who's been pretty productive. I think he got like the most catches from running backs the last couple of years, so highly productive. But you do have Antonio Gibson, and then I know at the end of the year, Patterson showed some flashes in a reserve role as well at running back. Ricky Seals-Jones played some big snaps this year with Logan Thomas getting injured earlier in the season, and then also John Bostic, one of your other linebackers, which we mentioned as a potential area of need. So when it comes to free agents, you guys got like $37 million in cap space, which is one of the most in the league. I think maybe top 10. So you got some targets, and like I say, we mentioned quarterback. first and foremost, linebacker, and then also offensive line. So I guess my question to you guys is, for the quarterback situation, do you think they'll be able to trade for anybody, or will it have to come through the draft or maybe even free agency?
So what I will say on that is this is a very delicate situation, and we are in a very unique position right now. So a lot of people, if anybody follow me on the gram, y'all know that I've been very vocal about me wanting us to get Malik Willis. A lot of that has come from prior to me even being vocal about Malik, because Malik used to be my second option. My first option, as most of us, was Deshaun Watson. If Deshaun Watson is innocent of all the things, of all of the cases that he got going on right now, all the pending legal cases that he got, I would love to have Deshaun Watson in Washington right now football team uniform, only because his situation is unique in terms of what Deshaun turning 26. I think he's 25, turning 26 or something like that. So you don't see a quarterback that young of his caliber hit free agency ever. Honestly, you never see it. And the only reason why it's even happening is because of mistrust for the organization. You know, them saying that they were going to involve him in more personnel stuff, and then they turn around and trade his right-hand man and his receiver going back to college without letting him know. So that kind of broke down their relationship, and now, rightfully so, you tell me, so I'm going to have more input as the face of this franchise. I'm going to be more involved, and then you go and do something like that. That kind of tells me that y'all were just basically telling me anything or just leaving me alone. So I think he has the right to want to get out, and I think he would be he's my number one target at quarterback. But do I realistically think that he will waive his no trade clause to come to us? I don't know. I would love to. I would love for him to be with us if he's innocent. So then that's what led me to Malik, because Malik coming out the draft, Malik is an interesting player. His player comparisons are all guys that I would take on my roster in a heartbeat right now. He's been early on. He was compared to Lamar. He was compared to Lamar Jackson. Now, because of his height, he's getting a little bit of comparisons to Kyler. He's even got comparisons to a shorter Josh Allen early on, because of that's his mentor. He's gotten some big comparisons. I'll take all four of them guys on my roster right now today, because all four of them guys are better than any quarterback I've seen play for the Washington football team in my entire life. So, but he also has his flaws, you know. Me personally, I'm not as down on him as some other people. Like, a lot of people point to games where he's thrown 3 interceptions. One of those games I want to say was against Ole Miss. But it's do y'all watch football? You know what I'm saying? Do y'all comprehend what's going on? Like, that's an SEC team playing against, I don't even know what division Liberty is in, but they're not a Power 5 school. And I want to say I don't know much about Liberty football other than Malik, but I probably would bet money that Malik might be the only draftable prospect on Liberty Plays football team right now. So you have him playing quarterback, his wide receivers who probably are done playing football after they leave Liberty, his running back and all that stuff, going against an SEC team. Like, the SEC is, you know what I'm saying, that's the epitome of college football team, of college football teams and conferences. And he threw 3 picks against them. Okay, you don't want your quarterback to throw 3 picks, but it's Liberty. It's Liberty against the SEC. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's like another SEC team going against Bama. They would get that quarterback some slack. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think it's a lot of bias because of, we know why he's a black quarterback, and they'll do anything they can to kind of knock a black guy. But I'm not going to say that his game is without fault or without flaws. I just think that people are not being realistic in their evaluation of him, and I personally think he's not the safest. I think he's a boomer bust candidate in terms of I will stand on the fact that I think he has the most talent of any quarterback in this draft. And if 4 or 5 years from now, he is the best quarterback out of that class, I won't be surprised. But he also has the most work to do. but I don't think he's this bum that people are trying to paint him out to be. Like he was, let's be clear about it. He was recruited to play at Auburn. And if he was given a fair shake and it was a fair quarterback competition, he should have been the starter at Auburn. And a lot of Auburn fans will tell you that right now. But, you know, sometimes you deal with these situations where it doesn't matter how talented you are. These schools have like their quarterback already picked. So they already had Bo Nix pick. And upon doing some research, Bo Nix's daddy was a quarterback and he played quarterback at Auburn. So it was nothing that Malik Willis could have did that he would have got that job. So that's just that. Like some people think, oh, he's playing at Liberty, he has to be a bum. No, let's be clear. He was recruited to play in the SEC. He just wasn't given a fair shake. Now, in terms of the money and the capital that we have, I've seen a lot of reports come out that are interesting. A lot of I'm not sure if you know Zeke, but I think like the preparations for what I don't know what bowl it is. It might be the Senior Bowl, and pretty much every quarterback prospect that's worth noting for a first round candidate is playing in that game with the exception of Corral, who is hurt, and Ron Rivera is not there. He's not there. Like people were surprised to see that Ron isn't there. They're like, why aren't you going? You know what I'm saying? You picking just outside the top 10. You said we're going to be aggressive about going to go get a quarterback. Why aren't you there? And a lot of people have speculated that Ron isn't there because our quarterback will come before the draft. So like it was mentioned, you have the Russell Wilsons that's out there. You have the Aaron Rodgers. You have the Deshaun Watsons. All those would be great candidates. I just feel like it will come down to would they want to leave their team to come play for us? I'm not sure that they would. And then you get into age and stuff like that. Like a young A-Rod I'd take in a heartbeat. I don't know how old A-Rod is now, but I think he's either 40 or pushing 40. So I don't know how much.
38, I think.
He's 38. I don't know how much I would trade for. Like Aaron Rodgers is talented. He's probably the most talented. He's probably the most proven out of all of those quarterbacks. But I don't know that I want to trade away 2-3 first-round picks for a 38-year-old quarterback that's not going to be there too long unless you know you have all the pieces in place you're just an Aaron Rodgers away from winning the Super Bowl. Because I feel like, you know what I'm saying, you make that trade, the Super Bowl or nothing. If you don't win the Super Bowl, you make that trade, you wasted capital that you could have used on a young quarterback to, you know, have more longer sustained success. Same with Russell. A lot of people have been speculating that Russell wants to be in a bigger media market, which Washington is definitely, DC is definitely a bigger media market than Seattle, Washington. And he's from Richmond area. Will he come to play for us? I don't know. He had a lot of weapons throughout his career in Seattle, but the one thing that he never really got that he's been like pounding on the table for years was O-line. We have that for him and weapons. So that could be a factor. And then you have Watson, who pretty much has been tied to Flores, who he wants to go play for Flores. And he's been tied to him so much so that the Dolphins were in play to get him and were like the favorite to get him last year when Flores was the coach. And then now that Flores has, for whatever odd reason, been let go. I'm not even a Dolphins fan, but that's beyond me. And Dolphins fans are pissed about that. But now that he's not there anymore, like the Dolphins have went from being a favorite to they're not considered anymore. And you see they started to come out and kind of like back to it as their quarterback for next year because they know they're not getting Watson now without Flores. So a lot of people have been speculating that Flores and Watson would kind of be like a package deal for the Giants, which would be scary for us. But that's kind of where we're at with it right now. Ultimately, like I said, as a fan of this team and having seen a franchise quarterback and going on almost 3 decades, if I'm a GM, how I would approach it, I'm signing one, drafting one. I'm signing, you know what I'm saying, whoever's available, or maybe like a Mariota. I don't think he's that good, but maybe a Mitch Trubisky or somebody who's like as a stopgap. But I'm only giving those signings a pass if at pick 11 or higher, if we trade up, we got somebody behind them and we're developing them and we're grooming them. So, you know what I'm saying, like a Mariota sign and draft Willis and give him like 2 or 3 years to develop and then put him out there. That's the only way I'm letting that go. But I feel like that might be the route I take. We can't just afford to swing for the fences at one guy and just that be that. Because that hasn't worked out for us. We made that dumbass trade, I forgot how many years ago, on Easter for Donovan McNabb, and everybody was like, oh, y'all got Donovan McNabb. Person, I was like, people was like, you're not excited, you're not happy. I was sick. I was sick about that trade because one is like, it's Donovan McNabb and he's old. And two, I know what I feel like anybody with a brain should have known. If the Eagles really thought that Donovan McNabb was still a threat, they would not have traded him in our division. They finessed us. So I knew that and I was sick. But so that's why I feel like you can't like leave it all on a bet either. You're gonna have to be creative with this. Fitzpatrick and Cal Allen, they're free agents at the end of the season. So I think the only quarterback that's still on the contract with us going into the season would be Tyler Heineke. But we just seen a full season of him, what he can do, very unexpiring. So you have the two spots. I say, why not draft a vet that'll challenge Heineke, and hopefully beat Heineke, and then have the rookie waiting behind him. And if I'm Ron Rivera, I probably would definitely. I know he likes his vets, but I would probably definitely take that route because for someone who's looking like he's about to be on a hot seat going into year 3, we all know the quickest way to buy time or to kind of save your ass as a head coach is go ahead and get you a developmental quarterback and just be like, yeah, well, we haven't really got to see what my guy can do yet. And then, you put him out there and let him play. But if you fail going all in on the quarterback, you have no excuses. So you draft for Russ. You trade for Russ. You trade for a Watson. You trade for A-Rod. You better be ready to win right now because a lot of people are looking at us like we're just a quarterback away. And you get that quarterback, those are all elite quarterbacks. You get an elite quarterback and you don't win. It ain't much more excuses that can be made for you on your way out. So that's where you are with that.
Absolutely, Jimmy G on the way, but
nah,
so
they been saying that for real. Jimmy G, Baker, we've been talking to every quarterback that might, Jimmy G, Baker, all types of. Again, I don't want either one of them, but the only way I would excuse that is if you get a developmental quarterback behind them and let them develop. That and if they give us the Washington Wolves, the Washington Red Wolves that we asked for. That they said we're not gonna get. A lot of people say, you give us that name, we might give y'all a year leeway just for, blessing us with the name that we want. But after that, it's back to business. But you roll out with the Commanders, you better have a elite quarterback to command this team, or we on your ass.
Yeah, Jimmy G, quarterback for the Washington Commanders 2022. We already know what it is. So yeah, that was pretty much a really good spiel on the quarterback situation, which obviously is the number one priority. I really do think you guys are going to get somebody like a Jimmy G. I think it's just, and not even just trying to be funny. I think it's even like as a Browns fan, it's going to be very difficult to get like a Russ or Deshaun Watson to waive that no trade clause. Although you brought up a good point about the offensive line being something that Russ never had in his career, and also still having some weapons to throw to at the same time is actually a pretty good situation
with a respectable head coach.
But yeah, then also, so like I said, about $37 million before all the cap casualties and stuff. So a pretty decent amount of cap space, which you could potentially look to upgrade your wide receiver room as well. I'm thinking maybe like a slot receiver. I think Adam Humphries is also a free agent. You do got Kurt, who's been hurt last year, but he can kind of play a little bit of outside, inside, and coming out the backfield as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if you guys made an upgrade there, maybe a Juju or somebody like that can play the slot and also block and be able to help in a multitude of ways. So
it depends. I cut you off. It depends on how I think how we will upgrade our receiving room would depend on what we do at quarterback. If we trade for a quarterback, then obviously we won't have that draft capital. If we sit tight and draft a quarterback and sign a quarterback, then I might go after Calvin. He young. He don't want to be in Atlanta. I might. He probably not going. He might not cost the first round. You get creative with the trade packages. Maybe a 2 and or whatever. You could probably get Calvin because honestly, at this point, the Eagles' hand not the Eagles, the Falcons' hand have kind of been shown in terms of he don't want to play there. So you gotta like, the man that set out and said he had mental issues just to not play there. So you kind of just got to take whatever value you can get for him. And kind of like not the same position, but kind of like essentially what happened with us with Trent Williams, which I'm still sick about. Like Trent Williams is a top tackle, probably the best tackle in the league still at his age.
Best, yeah.
And we had to give him up for a bag of chips because the whole league they already knew that he doesn't want to play here. He doesn't trust y'all. No matter what y'all do, he's not coming back. So what do? Do you be stubborn and, like not take the trade for him? Or do you just get whatever value you can for him? Which ultimately we ended up doing, but we ended up doing that too late. If we would have traded him at the beginning of the process, we could have definitely gotten some picks. Now here he is still playing in the playoffs. He's back with Cal. He's living a life, and we are suffering. But same kind of package with the Falcons. I think they about to be in rebuild mode anyway. So I feel like pretty much everybody gonna be for sale in the Falcons organization. So if we don't use draft capital to trade for a quarterback, I'll go get a Calvin. I definitely go get a Calvin. I think a lot of what we got to do on offense is, and part of the reason why whether I agree with it or not, I think we might go get a vet is, we gotta Ron has to put Ron and Dan and Martin Mayu. They gotta put on a salesman hat and they gotta, they gotta sell Terry. Terry is getting ready to be in a contract year. You gotta basically sell Terry on, why the franchise deserves you, why you need to come back. And you can't do that with the fact that this man been in the league 3 years and been thrown to by 7 to 10 different quarterbacks, and they've all been garbage, and he's still been putting up numbers. Like I think his agent is either going to demand an arm and a leg, which he should, or you're gonna have to get a respectable quarterback in here. Because I do feel like Terry is one of those rare men at that position, like receiver, corner. They're known to be a diva position. Terry does not play that position at all like that. Like he's like a blue collar. He's a blue collar wide receiver. He just care about, like team winning. He's like a team first type of guy, but team first only gets you so far. And as an individual, in terms of getting paid, so I think he knows now. And then Terry too, when we drafted him, Terry wasn't the youngest receiver when we drafted him. I think he got drafted as like a fifth-year senior or something like that. So Terry about 26, 27. So he knows it's probably like the biggest contract he about to get. So you got to go ahead and get that quarterback and lock Terry in for like the next, basically make Terry retire or Washington, whatever the hell we end up being.
Yeah, man, I think that's the first. I think that's the first thing y'all got to figure out, man. You got to, what I'm saying? Y'all anonymous right now, man.
The Washington whatchamacallits.
Yeah.
Listen, speaking on the name, like it's just we in a
Commander.
It's the Commander. Yeah, we're in such a unique situation that, boy, I tell you. So 2/2/22, that's the date. February 2nd, 2022. That's the day that we are picking our name. I mean, our name will be unveiled. The name has already been picked, but I'm gonna be real with you. Just by how we've been handling stuff and how this organization's history. As a fan base, we don't have a lot of faith at all. Just because simply, first of all, they did this whole little elaborate. We want our fans to be involved. You know what I'm saying? This is different from what's happening in a sports franchise, like pretty much ever. I don't think we've really seen this happening like this before. And so we want our fans to be involved because it's the name that's going to be tied to the franchise for the next 100+ years until we all die. All of us on this call die. And so they do these polls, like, what is the names that y'all want? The overwhelming choices was like, at first it was like the Washington Red Wolves. Then it was like, we'll settle for like the variation of the Red Wolves and just go Wolves or the Red Tails. Then our team president, Jason Smith, I think that's his name, Jason something. But he does his press release and like, yeah, like we know the Red Wolves was like the overwhelming fan favorite for the fans. But that's not gonna be the name. So it's like, yo, what are y'all doing? Like, y'all asked us what we wanted, and then the first name to go is the one that we picked. Like, we have zero faith. But then as I'm getting more like insight onto this rollout, it gets worse. So apparently they have so much faith in this name that they're going to be having like this rollout party at FedEx or wherever they're going to be, some type of private location. While Jason Wright, that's our president's name, Jason Wright. Jason Wright is going to be on the Today Show doing the roll. Going to be doing a rollout, and they have so much faith in this name that they said they're going to have merch and stuff on hand, and it's going to be like a party with fireworks and everything. And so like some of us are just holding out hope that this is like one of the only times in life that I was being lied to, but we're hoping that they lied and they just hit us with a pump fake and like, yeah, we said it wasn't going to be that, but surprise, this is going to be it. Because I promise you, if they do a rollout and it's the Commanders and they got us on Today's Show and all that stuff, nobody is getting excited about that. And I was watching this other podcast for us. Shout out to my boy Rio. He was basically saying that the Washington Commanders is so uninspiring of a name that name is available right now. Like nobody has ever tried like www.Washington Commanders or whatever. That name or that domain has been available for years. But they also got this theory where like it's a dude who has like he owns every domain for anything with like wolves in it, like whatever. But the Washington Red Wolves or whatever is like the only one that's still available. He doesn't own that one. So they've been kind of been speculating like, what if this whole time we've known that they hired Jason Wright and they like this is the name that the fans want. Basically create this whole misdirection that you know this is the name that you gotta go with, but basically make it seem like it's not gonna be that, so that you could build up the anticipation for that. But like I said, a lot of people just feel like we're giving us too much credit for that and that won't happen. Like they've even, I don't know if we're just dumb as hell or if they've been very, very thorough about trying to fake us out. But there's even been like, you know what I'm saying, videos and stuff leaked that if you look in the mirror, because they had like this whole little rollout basically called Making the Brain, I guess a play on Making the Bang. But where Ron Rivera and them are basically talking about the names that we'll possibly have. And if you look in the mirror, it's like a shadow. And it shows like the Commander logo, the Commander sign, and all that stuff. And it's like, bro, y'all either very terrible at this and we're just that bad of an organization, or y'all have put a lot of thought into like faking us out. So we'll see. But you know, if it's the Red Wolves, I got my cigar and champagne and stuff ready. That's also National Signing Day. So, you know, if my canes and my skins come together and make me proud, I got my cigar and all that stuff ready to celebrate. But more than likely, instead of a cigar and champagne, it'll be a bottle, taking shots, because I know it'll be disappointed. But that's where we at with it. I just don't have a lot of faith in us to get this right. But maybe they'll surprise us. Because I just don't see, even though we don't like Dan Snyder, the one thing that we know for rich people like that, money talks. And I just don't see him knowing that the fans wanted one name and that he can make a lot of money with that name. And he just goes with a name that nobody wanted whatsoever. I don't know. I'm holding out faith that we wrong and we'll see, but I don't know. But regardless, let me just throw this out there. Regardless of whatever the name ended up being, that's my squad. I'm sticking to it, but I don't have a lot of faith because they had the key players, which ironically, a lot of our key players are Ohio State guys. They had Terry, they had Chase, and I think John Allen, and they're saying stuff like Chase is like, I'm not gonna lie. His quote on Twitter was something along the lines like, I'm not gonna lie, the jersey's fire though. So essentially that tells me the name is ass, but the jersey's about to be tough. Like we probably supposed to be in a black uniform and everything. It's like, bro, y'all probably not gonna like the name, but y'all gonna love these jerseys. So I don't know. But we gonna see.
Bet that. Baker Mayfield, quarterback of the Washington Admirals. I got it.
The Admirals, Commanders, both names that nobody asked for. Everybody's like, brother, Admirals, like legit, the Admirals weren't even on the list that we had of names we had to vote for. Like, the other one was, like I said, was the Red Tails. The Red Tails, like, none of us will be mad about the Red Tails, but all of us being black men on this call, we know that, like, that's just a stretch that we would just attach ourselves to the Red Tails. Like, why would we do that? And then, like, it's gonna be our name for like the next 100 years. I don't like I said, these were all points that were brought up by my boys on another podcast. Shout out to my boy Rio. But why would we tie our name to the Red Tails for the next 100 years. And they want it to be something unique, but something that is our own, and Commanders will 100% be our own because nobody wants that name whatsoever. But the last thing I'm gonna say on that is like I said, when they did the research, something that they put out that kind of pissed me off is there are a lot of teams that have the same names. There are even teams within the same sport that got similar names. And they try to sell us on the fact that we won't be the Red Wolves because they didn't want to get into like these legal battles or these trademark battles or whatever. So literally, the only thing stopping us from being the Red Wolves is I think it's like the Arkansas State Red Wolves. Dan Snyder, being one of the richest men on the planet, is letting a college team that nobody has never heard of in their life stop us from getting a name that we want. It's kind of hard to buy that, but we gonna see. We gonna see for sure.
What about like the Washington Reds? I feel like that would be a clean like name. I think Fred might have said it, one of our homeboys, but I feel like Washington Reds is super clean, is longer lasting. If you don't do like the Red Wolves or something like that, Washington Commanders sound like a Madden created team, you know.
It really does.
Hey,
build a team.
I don't know if I heard that name before, but I wouldn't be opposed to it. It's a play on what we already got. It's clean. It's safe. You won't have to worry about no trademarks or anything. And I 1000% would prefer that over the Commanders or the Admirals. But I don't think that was one of the options. I really don't know where they're going to go. I just feel like if it's not the Red Wolves or the Red Tails, Commanders or Admirals is the name that everyone is like that has the most steam, but nobody asked for that. So it might be a name that like none of us are talking about. That might got some steam, and we might just be shocked like, dang, we wasn't even talking about that one, but it might be fire. Because at the end of the day, like this is everything. It's your brand. Like it's gonna be on your jerseys. It's gonna be in your stadium. This gonna be like how you generate like partnerships, sponsorships, all types of stuff. We trying to get a new stadium. All of these things. Like you don't want to go into negotiations for a new stadium knowing that your fan base is uninspired, like how we've been the last couple of years. Like FedEx, you know, that's FedEx, like the stadium is in Landover, Maryland, which is in PG County, which is where I'm from. It got moved from RFK, but I was a kid when it was an RFK. RFK was in DC. It got moved to PG. Early on, like it was the biggest stadium. It was up until I want to say the Cowboys like redid theirs. We had like the biggest stadium in the league, and we used to pack it out all the time. But the last couple of years, like it's just we've been so mediocre or so bad that it's hard to sell the fan base on why should I keep buying season tickets for a bad product? Because at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to, is business. And you're putting a bad product on the field every year, you know what I'm saying? Like now with the name, it's just like you can't get a good product on the field. You can't even give us the name we want. Why would you do that? So my thing is I don't have a lot of faith in Snyder as a NFL GM. I mean, as an NFL owner, but I don't think the man is dumb. I feel like nobody, unless you know what I'm saying, like you just inherited that money, nobody becomes a billionaire being dumb. So I'm just hoping that the business side of his brain takes over and he realizes like this is an opportunity to give the fans what they want. And on the flip, I can make a lot of revenue with this because this is like the overall overwhelming favorite. Plus, you can't really tell. You can't really tell by the product that he puts on the field. But Snyder is genuinely like he's a fan. He's a fan of the team. He grew up in the area. He wants us to win, even though you can't tell. So that's like a small, you know what I'm saying? That's like a small victory that he could give us the name and then start putting a good product on the field. But it's gonna be hard to sell people on buying season tickets to a new stadium when we don't even have the name that we want. And you know what I'm saying, you're not putting a good product on the field. Like some people want the name so bad, they've went off the deep end with theories like which by the way, I do not want this man to be our quarterback. But if it does happen, I'll be okay with it. But they're like, imagine us being the Washington Wolves or the Washington Red Wolves and our quarterback is Sam Howell. Like they're like, but that'd be tough. Like your quarterback last name is Howell and your name is the Wolves. Like that'd be tough. I do not want Sam Howell whatsoever. If we get him, I'm cool with it. But that's how sold we are on that name. Like they shouldn't have gave us that option if it wasn't gonna be a choice. So that's that. But we gonna see. We'll see.
Absolutely, man. The whatchamacallits, man. Y'all gonna be all right. Y'all gonna be all right. I promise you that. But yeah, last quickly getting into. I know some of the draft targets. Obviously, we talked Malik Willis. I saw some Nakobe Dean, who's he's the linebacker for Georgia, top rate defense. He played middle linebacker, quarterback that defense pretty well. Obviously, they're one of the best college defenses we've seen in a while. And then also talking wide receiver upgrade, John Mechie from Alabama, who got hurt early in the season. So his draft grade's gone down. I've seen second. I've even seen third round. So that's probably a really good value pick, getting a speedster from Bama because, Bama is Bama, man. So just want to close it out on, I guess, what are you guys' expectations for 2022 to 2023 season for the Washington I don't know the name.
The Washington Red Wolves. Listen, I say I touch on that kind of like in the order that you went. I'll go draft. Like we pick 11. It's not a terrible spot. It's literally just right outside of the top 10. I want to say last year Justin Fields went 11, like 10 or 11. So and I've been listening to our press conferences and stuff, and they've been talking about like how it's not always about the pick that you have. Like you can get a decent quarterback right there. And they pointed to the Justin Fields situation last year, who was also another player that Malik Willis has been compared to. So pretty much any mobile, athletic black quarterback that we've seen in the last decade or so, Willis has been compared to. I say that if the quarterback is not already on the roster, we absolutely have to go quarterback. We have to. I mean, they say that this is a weak class, and I feel like yes and no. I don't think it's weak in terms of like what everybody is saying, like the class is just overall ass. I think it's weak in terms of in the last couple of years you've had an alpha. Last year you had Trevor Lawrence with the alpha. The year before that you had like, you know what I'm saying? It's pretty much for like the good drafts. You have like that one guy that's kind of like pulled away from everybody else. And then you have the other guys who are like towards the end, they might challenge them to make it interesting for like the first pick. Like, it's no guarantee that the Jags are going to go Trevor Lawrence. They might go Zach Wilson type thing. In this class, you have none of that. You got pretty much, I've seen in a lot of drafts where the first quarterback off the board is taken by us at pick 11. So as far as draft quarterbacks, my top three will be Willis, Corral, Pickett. My number one, since I think they all have their flaws, will be I'm gonna go high risk, high reward every time. Give me Willis. I think he's the best. I think he has the most tools. He's his comps are the best of everyone. And if it's going to be a developmental project and you got somebody in front of him, give me the guy that's going to develop to be that has the potential to develop into a franchise quarterback to be elite. At 11, like I don't want a guy that's just going to be like an average starter or, you know what I'm saying, someone who's just okay. Especially after all these years of us suffering, we need a guy that's going to be the guy. I think all of us fans, we deserve that because we just haven't had that, at least not for a long time. Next would be Corral. Corral, his build is small. He's small, but he's a tough guy, and I like the way he plays the game. He's a gunslinger. Some people have said this is not his draft comp, but like in our community, our fan base, some people have basically said that he's kind of like what Taylor Heinicke wants to be in terms of Taylor Heinicke is kind of Corral's a gunslinger. Taylor Heinicke is kind of a gunslinger at heart, but he doesn't have the arm strength to pull off the throws that he wants to do. And sometimes with him having that dual threat and stuff, he like waits to the last minute to throw, but he doesn't have the arm strength or talent to pull off some of these throws. But Matt Corral is the same way, like Matt, but he's more talented. Like he has the arm strength. He has a cannon. He probably has the second strongest arm in the draft behind Malik. He could put it pretty much like make every throw, and he's more athletic than Heinicke, but he's a small dude. He's He's dealing with that ankle injury right now. So people are concerned with him being like I think he like 6 foot 200 even, 6'1", 200 even. He's like a small guy, but you've seen that smaller guys can kind of have success with Kyler and them, but those smaller guys have also been missing time too. So I don't know. But the one thing that I do like about Matt Corral is knowing that he might be a target for us. And people was asking him, like, with a lot of top prospects opting out of the bowl games and stuff, like, why are you playing? And his answer pretty much was like, I signed up to play football, you know what I'm saying? And basically, like, this team, this group of guys, like, they're the reason why I'm even able to be considered to be a first-round quarterback. So I'm not going to turn my back on my locker room because I'm rated, like, you know what I'm saying, possibly the first or second best quarterback coming out, which is the most important position. I'm going to go play. And then sure enough, like, right after that press conference, he goes to play and he gets his ankle rolled up and he gets hurt. But I feel like size aside, if I'm picking a guy off of like heart and intangibles, that's the type of quarterback that I think we all can agree that you want in your locker room. Like a guy that's like kind of like, I'll go lay it all on the line for my guys. Like that's the most, you know what I'm saying? That's the most important position. You want a quarterback that's going to be able to inspire the locker room. And by him going to go do that, he can command the locker room. His only knock on him is really that he's small, but he's progressed every year under Lane Kiffin, who's been known as a offensive wizard in college football. But then some people also say he hasn't really had the numbers that you would want. Then you got Kenny One Glove Pickett, who just kind of, again, I'm a Hurricane fan. Like Kenny Pickett is number 3 on this list because his rise kind of reminds me of not Sam Howell, but who the other quarterback that just came out of North Carolina not too long ago? Trubisky. Like I watched these guys play with my own eyes, and nothing about their game kind of wowed me. And again, as a Hurricane fan, I've watched the games in our conference. Like our conference is not that strong, so I'm looking at it as like you're picking apart a weak conference, and you're not really looking that great doing it. I know at the next level you're going to have flaws. Now, personally, I think Pickett has a way higher ceiling than Trubisky because I just overall just thought Mr. Trubisky was trash, but Pickett is getting better development over there in Pitt, and he's shown progression. Like each year, he's gotten better and better. But the scary thing is that I think he threw like 31 touchdowns or something like that this year. I don't really know his numbers offhand, but in a ball, he threw 40.
Yeah, he threw 42 touchdowns, and he
threw 42 touchdowns, and I think like 6 picks or basically under 10 picks. So the concern or the red flag on him is he's a 5-year starter. In the previous 4 years, he didn't do nothing close to that combined. So it's just kind of like, where did this production come from all of a sudden? Essentially, like his draft comp. So the players that I named their draft comps would be Corral's draft comp. Like people have been comparing him to Derek Carr. And Pickett is kind of they've been comparing him to like a Matt Ryan. But the thing with Pickett is like if you watch his game, you probably can't see his flaws. Like Pickett's arm is strong, but it's not really that strong. He's more of like an accuracy. He's more of an accuracy, timing and different things like that. But when you watch him play against ACC DBs, he's launching that bitch. He's like, you know what I'm saying? He's playing throw and go get it. So it looks like his arm is strong, but it's really like his receivers are beating the DBs and different stuff like that. He's not going to be able to get away with in college. But the one thing that I will give him credit for, he is a more deceptive athlete than people think. Like, I think like anybody who got on the Kenny Pickett recently, he's more famously known for like that fake, the fake slide and then taking it to the crib. So famous for that basically eventually they had to go to the rule book and see if that would be illegal or not, and they determined that going forward they got rid of it. But people didn't really know that he had wheels like that. And doing my research, I found out that Kenny Pickett actually used to be he was a sprinter. So he has that ability. I guess like thinking of it like he's not as talented, but when you put all that together, it sounds like a great value Josh Allen without the arm strength in terms of just being an overall athlete. So that's why he's there at
the
number
Dollar
3.
General brand.
Dollar General, but that's why he's there at number 3 for me. Any 3 of those quarterbacks, if they end up on a roster, I'm going to embrace them, especially with it being a possibility that we might have our pick of the litter and can get literally whichever one we want. So if they're all on the board, whoever we take, I have to think that that's really who we wanted if we go quarterback. Now, once you start venturing into the Sam Howells and the Desmond Ridder, who I was kind of high on last year, but he's falling off, and the I don't know how to say bro name, Zampi or whatever. Once you get into them, I'm not as inspired. And then another quarterback that's got a lot of steam that I think is going to be a bum in the league is Carson Strong. Like, a lot of people talk about Carson Strong. He has a strong arm, but that's it. Like, the man has zero mobility. You think like a Eli or Brady or whatever when you think about his inability to be mobile, but he has a cannon. But that's just kind of like not how the game is played now. Once you get into like that tier B, I'm just unexpired. But the way Ron has been talking and the needs that we have, we'll probably have our quarterback on the roster before the draft. But if you ask me, I say, again, sign one, draft one, sign like a mid-tier quarterback to a decent contract, let them develop the rookie. That way we can have more sustained success going forward. My expectations for my team is, like I said, I've matured in my fandom. Like, I like to say every year we go on, and if we get the quarterback, we're going to go. I think it just depends. It depends on, one, how we get the quarterback. If we get them in the draft, got to tell our expectations. We'll probably be average again, a little, because it's going to take that developmental period. If we trade for a Watson, a Russ, or a Rodgers, we that basically essentially is a notice to the league that we feel like we have the roster to compete right now. So we better be competing right now to, like, you know what I'm saying? It's basically Super Bowl or nothing, or like you've wasted those picks that you could be using to build up your roster. So that's where I would go with that. I would go quarterback if the quarterback isn't already on a roster. Unless we sign a quarterback, then I would still go quarterback. If we trade for him, then obviously it won't matter because we won't even have the first round picks to go quarterback. Like you mentioned, the Kobe Dean as a linebacker, if the quarterback is already on the roster, that's an excellent pick because we have the talent. Like I said, we had the number 2 ranked defense last year. Linebacker is just a weakness. Another weakness, not as weak as linebacker, but I would say corner. And the thing is, we got corners on the contract. Like, we signed William Jackson III last year. I still believe in him. I still think he can be good. He just playing like he just had to get his feet under him, and he was playing in a scheme that was different from what he played in Cincy. But underrated aspect of his game, like, he actually was a very highly rated corner at Cincinnati. Like, he didn't give up a lot at Cincy. You know what I'm saying? He was a solid corner. People didn't really throw his way. So that's why he didn't have the numbers. And then on the other side, we got one of the Fuller brothers, one of the many Fuller brothers that come through the league. Honestly, the most athletic out of all of them, and that's Kendall. But I don't know, man. Like, Kendall in his second act in DC has kind of like, before we traded him to the Chiefs for Alex Smith, like, we were pissed. Like, that was like you can give up anybody, just don't give up Kendall. And we gave up Kendall, and now we got him back, and it's kind of like he lost a little bit of the magic. But I'm not saying he's as talented or as athletic, but my thoughts on Kendall kind of go back to when we were talking to the Cowboys fans about Diggs, kind of the same. Like, he gonna come up with them interceptions. He didn't have as much as Diggs, but he gonna come up with the interceptions, especially early on. I want to say early on he had like 5 picks in 4 games or something, like, basically, like, you know what I'm saying? It was only like 1 game where he didn't catch a pick. He's more of a ball hawking playmaker than a cover corner. So then we kind of bumped them down into slot because we found a corner last year in like the 4th round, and like Benjamin St. Juste, tall corner, like 6'3" out of Minnesota or whatever. But he ended up being on the COVID list or whatever. So depending on how he develops, I think he'll develop good. We may or may not go for another corner. But that's a position of need. It's really tough. Like, it's really, really tough. I really just feel like we gotta go quarterback because if we go position by position, I think we can upgrade the O-line, but it's not terrible. running backs, we got Gibson. If Gibson just learned how to keep the ball in his hands, I think he's already showing glimpses of being he has the talent to be one of the best backs in the league. We got Terry. We got young receivers. Logan is under contract. He got hurt. I know you mentioned Seals Jones. I think Seals Jones is a free agent, but we might not re-sign Seals Jones, and that's only because we got a guy who started to come on late by the name of John Bates out of Boise State. Big target, 6'6", 6'7", something like that. John Bates was actually a steal for us in the draft. We got him, like I said, I want to say in like 6th round, 5th round, 4th, something like that. Like we got him in the mid to late round. And he's a steal because for whatever reason to have like a big tight end like that with that target, with that catch radius, Boise State didn't use him a lot on passes. Like, so a lot of people didn't really know until the combine that he could catch really good. He's just not a good, like, he's a great route runner, but he doesn't have that separation that you want from a tight end. But everything else, he's like overall solid. And if you watch his tape, his best attribute is actually a blocker. There'll be times where like we put him next to the tackle and have him chip in or whatever, and he moves like grown men on the line. Like he's a tackle, like he can block that good. It's just when he go out and, you know what I'm saying, he run the pass, when he run his passing routes, he slip out. He's a good target. So we got tight end, we got wide receiver, we got running back. The line could be upgraded, but it's not the biggest concern. D-line, we spent nothing but first round picks on that. Linebacker is the one question mark where we can upgrade that. Corners, we can upgrade that, but I think we might stay set there just because when we invested in that position, we got 2 corners under big contracts. The only other thing I can say is free safety, man. Free safety. We've struggled with safeties for a very long time, but last year we found Cameron Curl in like the 6th or 7th round, and he's more than outperformed that draft position. Like Cam is he that guy. Like he'll probably establish himself as top 10 strong safeties. But free safety, we've been severely lacking at that position since the man on my shirt has died. We haven't had, rest in peace, Sean Taylor as T21. We haven't had a great free safety in that long. And that should tell you everything you need to know. We haven't had it. We've had guys like Swearinger come in. Swearinger was like a strong safety. He played the box. But we've been missing safety. But that, like, just nitpicking at needs, we need a free safety. We definitely need linebackers, and we could upgrade the line position. But it all come back to that quarterback. Like, if you upgrade all of those positions and don't get a quarterback, we're still going to be ass. But if you bring a quarterback into that situation, you will probably be surprised at the leap that we take. Like, it'll probably be like, damn, I didn't know that they were good. Or how did they go from winning 7 games last year to winning 12 and, you know what I'm saying, going deeper to the playoffs. Like, I think anybody with eyes and that's unbiased can see that we just need that guy, quarterback, and we can go far. That's it. I think Ron has done a good job of, like, turning the locker room around, building that culture, even though it's been reports and articles coming out, which I do have to question, like, can you rebuild culture while losing? And that's a trick question. Like, we ain't really been winning a lot, but we also haven't really had, like, a lot of the on the field or off the field issues that we've had in the past. So I guess the answer is yes. And all the stuff that we have had, you know what I'm saying, is really Ron was dealt a bad hand. Like, he can't control that he came into an organization with a slimy owner who, you know what I'm saying, like, just when you thinking we starting to turn stuff around, stuff starting to come out. Like, every time you turn around, stuff starting to come out. And then you have, like, little unfortunate, not little, rest in peace to these people, but you have Montez's brother who got shot and killed, like, you know, the last week or 2 weeks before the season ended. And then prior to that, like a month prior to that, Jeremy Reeves, our safety, his girlfriend died in a car accident. Different things like that, you know what I'm saying, were out of Ron's control. But I think we're headed in the right direction. And I think this is a make or break year for Ron Rivera. I think we believe in him in terms of if he can get the quarterback, we can kind of see the vision. If he doesn't get the quarterback, we don't see where he's going. And he's not going to be around much longer. And I just kind of see it playing out. If he gets the quarterback, he can kind of he'll end up getting a contract extension. He'll be around for a long time. If he doesn't get the quarterback, he still might finish out his 5-year contract. But it will be more so like we needed a guy to come in and clean and culture, make this job more attractive. and then we'll just kind of roll the dice and go get a guy like a Bieniemy or, you know, somebody else that we couldn't have gotten before. Somebody that we couldn't have gotten before if the culture wasn't better. A dream of mine that'll probably not happen, but if Ron is not the guy, we go get Tomlin. Tomlin's from the area. And then an even bigger dream of mine that's absolutely not happening is a guy that we had in the building. Like people know that ESPN graphic that came out, but Sean McVay. If we can go and we can some kind of way get McVay back in the building, that would be a dream come true because he's shown that he is obviously what he's doing with the Rams. But even before that, he showed me that he is a hell of a coach because he was coaching tight ends first when we had Reed. We had Jordan Reed. Jordan Reed was one of the best tight ends in the league. He helped him get promoted to quarterbacks coach. So he coached Kirk Cousins up to that big contract that he got. And then after that, he got that interview with the Rams, and the Rams just didn't let him out the building. He ain't been back since. So if we can get him back, that would be good too. But right now, we just going raw with Ron Rivera. Hopefully, they get the name and everything right. And he can kind of right the ship, but we don't know because he keep bringing too many Carolina guys in. Like Carolina Panthers not ass. So that's that.
Absolutely, man. Hey, Vaughn, what you think? What's your expectations 2022, 2023 for the Washington whatchamacallit?
Whatchamacallit, they're gonna whatchamacallit, man. You know. Nah, man, he pretty much summed it up though, man. They got a lot of key pieces that's missing, you know, coming from the quarterback position, linebacker position. But other than that, y'all got a lot of key pieces that are convenient for y'all, like not having an owner that's hindering y'all. Y'all got nice coaching around Rivera, coaching staff.
Our owner is definitely hindering us, but our owner might be worse than y'all's, but you know, he just not in the media as much, but not like he don't talk to the media as much, but he in the media for bad things. Like I said, our owner is so bad, and you know what I'm saying, our team is so bad that we got somebody on a whole nother coast fired, which is like, you know what I'm saying, the Oakland Raiders coach, John Gruden, who was the brother of our coach before this, Jay Gruden. And, you know what I'm saying, that whole scandal and all that stuff, that's how he ended up getting fired. But our owner is definitely bad. I just like, you know what I'm saying, I don't know. But what I will say is I think this is the last straw for Scott Turner. If Scott Turner don't start putting some fucking points on that goddamn scoreboard, his ass need to go. Because I don't even know how he even got this job. Like we won it prior to that we had he's with McVay now. We had O'Connell. We had O'Connell as the offensive coordinator. He was unproven like Scott too, but we just wanted to keep him there because he has been showing signs of life. Scott Turner hasn't showed a goddamn thing, but he also hasn't had the tools to show anything. But and so right now Ron is kind of under pressure. Like, is he going to let go of one of his coordinators? What is he going to do? And he kind of said that he's not speaking on that. And the tough thing is, Scott is the son of a well-respected coach, and North, you know what I'm saying, the offensive genius. So that's what I feel like that's keeping him around for a long time. And North is well-respected in our organization as well as like the Chargers organization. So I feel like that's what's keeping him a job. But he hasn't shown me that he's anything like his father. But he also hasn't had the quarterback or anything else to play with like that. But if it comes down to Ron has to fire a coordinator to save his ass, I'm getting rid of Scott before I get rid of our defensive coordinator. I forgot bro name. Dang, what's our defensive coordinator name? Jack Del Rio. Before we get rid of Del Rio, get rid of Scott before I get rid of Del Rio. At least last year, Del Rio, when he had all his pieces, got us to number 2. And you know what I'm saying, he's shown that he can scheme up games. Last year we had that game against the Niners where we didn't score a single offensive touchdown. And we won the game, I think like 9 or something, or like, you know what I'm saying, like every single point that we put up was scored by defense. We had a pick 6, we had a safety and all that, and we won the game. So, you know what I'm saying, his defense can be like that with all his pieces once he get chasing them back. Scott Turner hasn't shown me shit, so I don't know.
Man, final expectation, final opinion for the Washington football team. Not biased, but it's the truth, man. The Cowboys run that division, man. I mean, that's just the truth, man. You gotta like it or love it.
Got all the division champs.
Yeah. So I mean, I gotta figure out a way.
Yeah, I think, because I just don't have the confidence that they're going to get at least a game changer, at least for 2022 at quarterback. I could be wrong, and they could get one, but I think it's either going to be one of the second tier from as far as like trade partners in quarterbacks, or they're going to go with the rookie. And I don't expect him to be a game changer right away. Probably give him a couple years or so before he's able to be able to actually elevate the team. But a lot of talent, skill positions offensively, and obviously the defense is very talented. They got number 2 last year. So I think I could see him probably closer to the range where they were this year, 7-8 wins. But if you do get maybe, I say worst case, let me take that back. Even a Jimmy G could probably get you like 9 wins because you still got a talented group of receivers and running backs and offensive line. So Jimmy G could actually get you some wins, and you probably could sneak into the playoffs with the current format. So I wouldn't be surprised there. But I think it all, like you said, really is contingent on who's throwing the ball, who's taking snaps next year. But like I said, I just didn't have the confidence that you guys would go get the elite of the elite, just because trade clauses or no trade clauses and all of that stuff. But I think they got a really good opportunity to continue and kind of get better every year. But yeah, so we're coming to a close here at the Washington whatchamacallits at the 123 CABO edition. It's your boy Zeke, man. You can catch me on Instagram at Fatboy Season. You can catch me on Twitter, Fatboy Season Inc. That's INC. You can catch me on TikTok, Fatboy Season 1. Also the Game 7 podcast, man. We drop something a few times every month. That's at the Game 7 podcast __. That's IG and Twitter. Y'all let them know where they can find y'all at.
So it's Prince Hendricks. Y'all can find me on Instagram at Thuggish Ruggish Bones. That's THUGISHRUGGISH. Bones BONEZ. That's me.
It's your boy Von, man. Check it in. Leaving out, man. You can find me at _Von.G on Instagram. Yeah, let's get it.
Yes, sir, man. It's been another episode of 123 CABO, man. We out of here.